NERDSoul. Late Ill Kid at OneYoungsta, hold it down, bringing that StreetGeek and NERDSoul. What is up, my people? Today, we got a great new episode of Talk Shop. We're going to be talking about another comic that I happen to come across. People hit me up too. It's from Unstoppable Comics called Interceptor. Before I get started, I'm gonna let you know that this book is sort of a mixed bag for me. There's some cool stuff, there's some promising stuff, there's some potential stuff, and then there's some stuff that doesn't really hit it for me. But we're gonna start with the way I came across this. I had issues 1 through 3. I got a chance to sit down, check it out, listen to some music and all that good stuff. And the way this series opens up is you have this young man who is pretty much kind of like chosen or tasked with this newfound power, this newfound identity, and he's going to be the one that kind of drives this story. He's a former football player, you know, he has stars and accolades and all of that stuff, and he's already kind of known in his past for being kind of like a protector, a savior, someone who cares about saving people. And he comes across this shield that ends up revealing itself and its powers to him. And it sets him off on this journey that ends up being interesting. And it ends up being very enlightening to him. And the thing about this book, especially the first issue, is that it moves extremely fast. We get introduced to a whole host of brand new villains, and we get to see their plan just a little bit, but for me, it moves extremely fast. I would have liked either a longer issue or maybe see this story spread over 2 issues. But in the second issue, we get to start off with kind of like this action-packed type of feel. He's already kind of getting into using his shield, the powers that come with it, being able to kind of sort of hold his own with the newfound villains, and you get to get a great, how should you say, discussion about being of 2 worlds but not really a part of any of them. You get an interesting look at racism. You get an interesting look at just being a fish out of water, not really belonging, and that's something that this really hits home on. Some of the writing, some of the themes in this are very strong, and they really knock it out the park for me. And that's definitely a A+. That really scores big in my opinion, because that's the biggest part of this storyline, of this, you know, kind of journey that we're on, that I think really ties everything together and really draws you in. Because you get to reveal that, you know, our villain isn't as one-dimensional as you might think, which is a really, really cool part and a really strong part of this story. Now, the third issue that you get to look into is that you kind of get a time jump, as in a sense. And the weird thing about the third issue is that you get a disjointed story at the beginning of the issue, like the first 3 or 4 pages, that really don't, for me, connect back to where we left off on issue number 2. Because issue number 2 ended with so much promise. Now, issue 3 does go on and get into kind of back towards the lore and back into, you know, the themes of like old England and, you know, all of these, you know, heroes and demigods and Avalon and all of these wonderful things. But for me, in that issue, it may be a little too late, because we spent so much time not picking up on the themes that we got from the, you know, old English history and stuff like that in issue number 2. All in all, I'm going to say that this book is definitely, if you're into sword and sandal, sword and shield type of things, if you're into kind of like the old English and British mythology, stuff like that, I think that you could get a kick out of this because the lore in this book is very, very strong. I really think that the surrounding lore of this story, the surrounding lore of the hero, the surrounding lore of the weapon that he wields is very strong, and there's a lot of potential there. I just don't know if it's being fully fleshed out. There's also a couple of editing issues in there that you may come across while you're reading. I hope you don't let it deter you because I do think that there's a lot of juicy, meaty lore in there to really get into. And also, for me, the style of art I don't think fully matches the story that we're getting from issue 1 through 3. So all in all, I'd have to say the Interceptor is a mixed bag for me. I think there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of great stuff in there, especially the discussion about being a fish out of water, about being part of two worlds but really belonging to none, and also driving the hero forward with, you know, kind of like the history behind his weapon and everything. There's a lot of great stuff there, but I'm not sure if it's grabbing me just yet. So what I'd say is for you guys to go out, check out Interceptor. Let me know how you feel about it because it might just be a book that's just not really for me and it might grab you guys differently. So if you've already read Interceptor or if you're reading it or if you're getting a chance to pick it up, go ahead and jump down in those comments. Let me know what you think about this book. I'm very, very interested to see your perspective. Let's talk about it. So, you know, of course, that's my time. And I got to get out of here. But before I leave, I got to say, hit up ThatNERDSoul.com. That's right. You can hit that joint up. Check out all my videos from the latest and greatest, the oldest, and all that. Everything in between. That is right. Jedi Alliance, Popcorn Talk Network, all that stuff. Then you can hit up shop.thatnerdsoul.com and pick yourself up a t-shirt, player. That's right. And you can also grab one for your lovely, lovely playettes. Then come back here, like, comment, and subscribe, and share that Nerd Soul. There is no other way that I can show people that you like what you're seeing. And of course, I gotta say, LA what up, VA what up, RVA you got my heart. And of course, be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Peace.